the world and of your story being shared. I was so scared that on the day everything was fully ready, the cover, the interior pages, you're about to hit the button, it's about to be out in the world, that I said, no, that's it. I was afraid about what people would say. I was afraid about what people would think. I was afraid of how I would be judged. But look what happens when we step into our truth and we show up as who we actually are. Our stories matter. Every story matters, big or small, from any aspect of your life, whatever you have been through, no matter how big the trauma, how tiny the trauma, how just happy it might have been, how sad it might have been. There's somebody out there who's going to see themselves in your stories, and your story is going to spark their soul. And this is what I learned when Hello Universe It's Me came out. 4.5 years later, it just won its 6th award. And there's a lot more in the works for Hello Universe It's Me, but more importantly, there's a lot more in the works for Soul Sparks Press. 1 year in, we are 45 authors deep, with authors from all over the world, Canada, London, England, Monaco. We're signing our first author in Africa. And we just signed our first author to a multi-book deal. So this is what happens when you decide to tell your story and step into your truth. You allow other people to do the same. And tonight, you're going to hear from 22 authors of our 45 are here tonight to share their story of stepping into their own truth. And 3 of people who said yes first, we're going to meet first.
Yes, we are.
Should I tell the Eric story?
I think you should tell the Eric story. I think it's wonderful. It was actually a pleasure that we at the Los Angeles Tribune got to debut the story of how Soul Sparks Press came to be with you and Eric, and when 2 people that are connected step into telling their story and supporting each other, beautiful things happen. So I would love for you to tell the story about how you connected with Eric, about Eric's book, and really about how Soul Sparks Press came to be.
So the way Soul Sparks Press came to be is this time last year, I was in Malibu with many of you. And sitting there, everybody had to get up at dinner and say something about what they were calling in. And I got up, like fast. And I'm like, I am calling in 1 million Soul Sparks. And they were all like, oh, that's great. I was like, whoa, I wonder what that means. Because at that point, we were working on one book that I thought maybe could have been a side project. I didn't even know it was going to be a thing for us. And sitting there, Eric was there, and a few weeks later, we were talking again, and I said, God, you gotta write a book about the way that you do this. This is the way I start most of my conversations with people. I'm like, wow, your life is so interesting, you should write a book, you should write a book, you should write a book. And he turned to me and he said, if you do it with me, I'll do it. I said, let's go. In that moment, I could have said a lot of things, like, oh, no, I'll find you somebody who could really help you with a book. Well, let me introduce you to somebody I know. They can help you. But in that moment, I said yes. I said yes to me. I said yes to him. I said yes to what was coming through from the universe to happen for both of us. And he is the very first person who said yes to me. And quickly behind him are Chet Harani and Claire Bachman, who you're going to hear from tonight.
What a beautiful story. I love that story because it shows what happens in these other communities when you support it, and really what happens when you say yes. You never know what's on the other side of the yes. But over 40 authors later from all around the world. 45. Over 40. It's like 45 is over 40. You know? You can see what actually happens. So Deepika, I know we're going to have you back up here in just a minute, but I would love to introduce Eric Bicker, Chet Harani, and Claire Bachman. So Eric and Claire and Chet, we'd love for you to come up here. There you are, Claire. I was looking for you. So you all, this is a truly special panel because we're going to call this the First Movers panel, right? These are the 3 beautiful souls that said yes to joining Soul Sparks, but most importantly said yes to bringing their stories out into the world. So their books are gonna blow your mind. And their books are coming out in 2025. Claire, I'd like to start with you. As you were thinking about your life experiences, what is it that inspired you to say, I want to write my story, and I have faith in joining community with people that are not just on a mission to tell stories, but on a mission to tell soul-sparking stories, because there's a difference.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Deepika, if you don't know this about her. She has this beautiful, kind of strange gift where she will see this like superpower in you. And she'll tell you. And it's up to you whether you do something with it or not. It's like all information, right? You're gonna read all these books, obviously you're gonna read all 45 of them, and you're either gonna do something with it or not, right? So Deepika came to me and she said, everyone calls you, like my book is called The Billionaire Woman. So she says, everyone calls you Billionaire Claire. I'm a wealth manager, I have an alternative asset fund, of course I'm Billionaire Claire. And she says, you're the Billionaire Woman. And I said, yeah, I guess so. She says, you gotta write the book. So that was how that came. But she has this beautiful skill, talent, gift to see something very special in each person, and she'll help you blow that up. So that was how that marriage came together.
I love that because she saw something in you, but you saw it in yourself first because you were helping people as a wealth advisor really figure out what that looks like, and now you're able to connect with more people through your book. What is one message that people can expect from your book that is applicable to men, applicable to women, applicable to anyone that just wants to expand and elevate their life?
All I do all day is talk to people about money. And I can tell you right now, money is more intimate than your health. You will go to like a barbecue and you'll be, oh, I've got high blood pressure, you've got everything. You'll tell that all day. But you will not go into that same barbecue or dinner and talk about your income, your portfolio. You won't do it. You guys are all nodding. You won't do it. So the thing with money is money starts in your mind. And it starts with how you think about debt. You guys, we all have debt here. Some of you are using it properly, some of you are, maybe not using it properly, and that's okay. But there's no marriage in the world that I see, except for a few people, where they're taking wealth energetic, like money energetics, and they're marrying it with actual strategy, right? So this book will not only help people, yes, it's called The Billionaire Woman. If you're a man, trust me, this will benefit you as well. You're gonna step into your most wealthy self, but also the best version of yourself. So imagine living in your purpose, which very easily comes to you, and then because of that wealth also comes to you very easily. Everything will just start to line up for you. It's like hitting a strike at the bowling alley. Everything will just once you start to step into that best version of yourself, everything will just come to you. It's such a beautiful thing. So that is the purpose of this book. That is what will come for you with this book.
I love that. And you shared it with such conviction. Like it will happen, which I love. That's truly inspiring. Eric, you're coming out with a book called Spiritual Fitness, and I'm noticing a bit of a theme here with naming conventions. Spiritual Fitness is a great title for a book. It's the title of your podcast. It's something that you and Deepika had talked about when you were thinking about your book. But spiritual fitness is really about a paradigm shift, about integrating spirituality, integrating fitness and movement into your beingness to really evolve. Can you talk a little bit about your book, Spiritual Fitness, and why it was important for you to speak about it so boldly and so loudly?
Oh, I think you might have the book already.
I love learning about it over the months.
Thank you to everybody coming out here tonight, this evening. Thank you. Thank yourself. Thank your body. Thank your mind. Thank your heart, right? Because that's part of spiritual fitness. Sometimes we forget what it takes to be ourselves, just waking up, with problems, changes, challenges. But, however, spiritual fitness was created out of chaos. I was going through a heartbreak, a breakdown with Deepika. And she was helping me with the breakthrough of spiritual fitness. Not only Kathleen, where's Kathleen at? Is Kathleen in here? Kathleen Cameron, Shannon, Mandy, Debbie, Rosie, all these beautiful, powerful women was part of the paradigm of spiritual fitness because I was going through a transition at the time. And I was like, I gotta find a way to transition my life through the vessel of my spirit, of my soul. And when I was in that breakdown, only thing I had was prayer and the gym. It didn't leave me, it didn't forsake me. I know I could pray, I know I could work out, and I would feel better. So then I'm thinking about all these clients. And I was like, okay, I gotta try something different than just moving your body and lifting weights. So I said, what's gonna be the intention, right, of the workout? What is gonna be the movement, which is 45 minutes, and then we're gonna do breath work, we're gonna do affirmations, and then we're gonna pray. And then we're gonna keep doing that. And then we're just gonna manifest through our vessel, through our soul, through our consciousness. And not only Kathleen, Deepa Krishna, they all manifested. Soul Sparks Press, her just, transitioning into a whole new life and livelihood. And I was able to ask for okay, spiritual fitness. So for me, it was something that came from my heart and not my mind. And I've been fortunate and privileged to have success in the public, sphere and writing books and being on TV show and having all this ego success. And I always tell people, success is getting what you want, but fulfillment is doing what you're made for. And spiritual fitness is my calling, it's my life's work. And now, because of Deepica and her team, because we're getting close, I've been so nervous at the tail end of this book because it is a vulnerable book. It's emotional. I'm telling parts of myself that I haven't shared with the world. So it's not as easy as I thought. But the main thing is for people to tap into their power, their autonomy. What makes you spiritually fit is going to be different from me. But I don't want you to give me your power. I want you to take your power and own it, right? Because you don't might not have to do 100 burpees or do 100 jumping jacks. You might just need to walk for an hour and talk to your higher self about how powerful you are and how you love yourself unconditionally and forgive yourself all the things you might have went through. But spiritual fitness is an integration, a paradigm, and a paradigm shift into your higher consciousness through your soul purpose for the greatest good of you and the world you serve. And that's what that is. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Love that. Spiritual Fitness will be coming out on a digital bookstore and a shelf near you in 2025. And Chet, you're all about empowerment. You left the world working in tech. You decided to take the bold decision to say, what do I actually want to do with my life? And go for it. And you are a consultant, you are a coach. You're coming out with your book this year. What is it about that leap of faith walk that you did to say, that in spite of all that's going on in the world and what seemingly looks good on the outside, I actually want to take that leap of faith to listen to like what my heart is desiring and walk in that path?
So that's a really, really good question. The answer to it is that writing this book, first of all, I didn't even know I was going to write a book. Okay, Deepica came up to me, as she did with everybody else.
So this is a trend here.
And she basically said, you need to write a book. Okay. And the same thing happened when I first did, 2 years ago when I did a TED Talk. I did not think that I would be doing a TED Talk. I didn't even have a thought of standing on this red dot or writing a book or anything like that. Okay. Though these things just did not come into my, they just didn't come into my sort of mind or anything. All I wanted to actually pretty much do was to help people. That's it. That's all I really wanted to do. And from, I don't know, what do I say? Even when I was studying at university, the first thing I wanted to do, I educated in software engineering. I did all these sort of things, and then I just followed the path of you go to university, you get an education, you find a job, you do X, you do X, Y, you do Z, and all these other things that everybody thought that this is what they need to do. And you just follow this path, right? And you think everybody else is doing it, so you should do it too. And then it hit me, I think that, why on earth am I doing this? I should be doing things that I want to do. Hence why the book is called Burn the Rules, Lead from Within. Yeah, you don't need to follow the rules. There are rules there for a reason, but the rules aren't there for every single person to follow. They're for you to follow. But you only follow those rules when you start leading from within yourself. Figure that out first, and then those rules will follow. Right? There's no other reason why. hence this is where it comes from. Obviously, thanks to Deepika, this has all just come out.
I love that. You all were the first 3 people that decided, okay, we're gonna be a part of Soul Sparks Press. But what is so beautiful is that each one of your stories and all of the work that you do really invites people to go from within, right? You go within to figure it out, and then you walk and you move from that place. As before we come to a close here, as we think about closing remarks, Clara, and then we'll go to Eric, and then to you, Chet. What is something that you want people to reflect on, not figure out in this moment, but really take the time to think about and reflect on after they leave here today and after they've experienced you?
No, experienced me.
Your story, you,
Well,
the billionaire woman, man mindset. What is something that you want them to reflect on?
what I want you guys to think about is, let's not talk about money, let's not talk about any of that. What I want you to think about is, don't think about who you wanted to be when you were a kid. Think about who you want to be now. What is that grandest version of yourself? But when you start to go to find that person, don't just go down the rosy path. Okay? In my book, I talk about, I literally dance with the devil. Okay? I had to go all the way over here from God, the light, whatever you want to call it, all the way over there to the dark guy. Okay? Don't be afraid to discover all of those facets of yourself when you're on this journey of finding who that grandest version of yourself is. When you start to open up all those facets, oh my goodness, you're gonna find this, you will become a god or a goddess yourself. This is literally the path for you, so don't be afraid. My takeaway for you is, don't be afraid of the things that you see in the mirror that might be a little tricky, it might be a little scary, because that's just who you truly are. And that person is beautiful, so let that person out. Then all of the wealth, then everything else will follow. Find that person, all the facets, let them out.
Thank you, Claire. Eric?
Thanks, Eric.
Let it out, let it out. Can everybody just put their hand over their heart? Just take a deep breath. One more. All right. Now that you have your attention of yourself, what does your heart want in this lifetime? What does your heart want in this moment? What is your spirit saying? What is your intuition saying? What is that discernment saying for you? Not for me, not for us, for you, right? Because at some point, we're going to transition, right? We're going to leave this earth, and I want you guys to leave here with some type of attention that's in your heart to commit to something that gives you love and give you joy without any money being attached, without any ego being attached, right? Because you don't know what life has for you. I came to LA with $1,000. I knew one person. My life has never been based off of logic, nothing but faith and certainty, right? So there's something in your soul, in your heart, that's calling your spirit to become fitter for you, so you can live out your dream and impact people that you don't even know. So I'm a living testament of it. I still have challenges, still have changes, but I know God put me here to be great, and I'm going to chase that greatness and be all I can be, so you guys can be with me, follow me, and we can follow each other, and we all can be spiritually fit. So stay tapped into your hearts, love yourself unconditionally, and get after it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Chet?
Right. So, I did a 180-mile bike ride over 2 days. And when I say 2 days, this was actually on a pedal push bike, not a motorbike. People, when I explain this, people think, well, you're on a motorbike. I said, no, I do not trust myself on a motorbike, right? I thought I knew how to actually ride a bike as well before I did that. I trained, I did everything. But until I actually set foot or put my foot on the pedals, I realized I actually didn't know how to ride a bike, okay? Because I didn't know how to I didn't understand. I knew how to change gears, but I didn't understand what changing gears was all about. Okay, until when I was in that sort of halfway into this ride, first day, 90 miles. Only then did I realize when I was going up these hills, going down, doing all these sort of things, I'm thinking, these gears mean something. Okay, the gears that I'm changing to push me through also are the same sort of gears that are in our mind. Okay, that we're pushing ourselves through, what we're struggling, what we're going through, how fast we need to go, how many times we need to slow down. All these things were going through my mind. Okay. Only then did I realize that fear, right, was one of these biggest things, because I just did not want to. I wanted to stop this ride on that first day. But I knew I had to get somewhere, and I needed to get to a destination on that first day. And there was no way on earth that I could go back. I could only go in one direction. Because one, my car was parked at that point, right? So I needed to pick that car up to get myself back home. So there's no way on earth I was going back, because that was a whole nother round trip that I needed to do, okay? But the fact that that pushed me through, things started sort of locking in. And when fear set in during that time, that was something that I thought, let me just send this message out to people too, where fear is everywhere, right? Exactly what everybody's spoken here, right? Fear is everywhere. We live in fear constantly. We wake up and there's an element of fear in us, regardless of what we say and what we do. But if we were to just reprogram that within ourselves and just use that fear and think, well, is it actually fear? Why is it not excitement? Yeah. So if we now just reframe that to excitement, now think where you can actually lead yourself and where you can actually go from there on. Because otherwise, you're staying in fear, you're just staying back, right? We all want to head in one direction, that's just forward. We don't want to go back. We do never want to live in regret. We live in regret, we go nowhere. So why don't we just reframe these things, and from fear to understand where we need to move forward, and then set yourself free. And that's what it's about.
So, Soul Sparks Press, these are deep thoughts, right? We are really going to the root of your soul, of your spirit, but that's what the life experience is truly about. Chet, Eric, Claire, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for taking that faith walk, because the three of you said yes. We got all of the people that are in this room today, 45 authors and counting. There we go. Well, please enjoy. You're going to be here. Please tap into Claire and Eric and chat afterwards. Follow them so that you can find out when their upcoming books are coming out. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it is such an honor to introduce our next guest that's going to be joining us today. Her name is Nakia Parks. Yes, yes, yes. Please clap for Nakia. She has grown and scaled an 8-figure business. She is helping people walk in faith, in self-love. She's an advocate for all of the melanated beauties out there in the world. And she's just full of so much vibrance and vitality. You are known as the savage spiritualist. And earlier we were talking, and I said we were going to get into it in a moment, but for everyone that has joined us today, literally from all around the world, can you talk a little bit about what the savage spiritualist is all about, and what you really want people to kind of remember about going within in their heart and the love that they have for themselves and for the world?
Hi, so glad to be here. I flew in from Florida, so was not prepared for this cold weather when I got off the plane in LA. So the Savage Spiritualist was kind of like my alter ego that was created because I was a retired crash out, burnout, 70 hours a week, person who worked. I had a business, but I wasn't taught that I could have abundance any other way. From as long as I could remember, my mom would say, my mother's from Jamaica, and she would say, you grow up, you get a job, you work hard, then you retire. So that was the path, right? And we weren't taught that there is another way to attract and to allow, luxury into our lives. So I basically got to a place where I had to decide. I was 35. and I didn't really want kids, but I didn't want kids because I didn't know how to fit kids into being successful. Because where I grew up, children were a bill, like they cost money. They didn't help you make money, they cost you money, right? And so I was like, I had to pick. And I used to say growing up, like, I'm gonna be like Oprah. I'm gonna have a lot of money, I'm gonna have houses all over the world, and I don't want no kids. Like that was the three things I knew. And then of course, I fell in love with my husband. And at 35, he said, so, like we got to slide in the home plate at some point. Like, the clock is kind of running out. Like, what are we doing? And then I just decided, you know what? How do I create a life that feels effortless? Where I don't have to choose between being a mom and being a millionaire. Like, and one doesn't like knock the other one out. They can coincide and they can be in harmony with each other, because that was not at all what I grew up seeing. So I started, I was always the person who motivated and inspired people, and I was always very different. I mean, if you talk to anybody who knew me like young, they would still say, Nikki, you are, well, Nikki is what my family calls me, you were always just different, like odd or weird, right? Is what they were really saying. And I was like, okay, well, but now you owe me money, so it's cool to be the weird, odd person, right? So I just decided that I wanted to be savage with taking back my power. And the spiritual came because I decided that I declared that I am God energy. And of course, that was like, oh, wow, you can't say that. You're not allowed to speak in that way. And then I just got on this path of like manifesting and seeing how much I could have and allow in my life without working. That was the sticker. I'm like, okay, if this shit is real, oh, sorry, I'm bilingual, English and profanity. So hope you pray for me if that's your thing. Pray for me. But I was like, if this is real, then I should be able to align with the frequency of wealth and allow it. Because somebody created a 40-hour work week, but I don't know if that's originally how it was supposed to be. Somebody thought of that, everybody believed that that's how it went, and so we got on board with it, and that's how it's been. But I was like, let me see if I follow my truth and what feels really good, what feels like bliss. And bliss, the definition of bliss is basically to be so consumed by joy and happiness that you are just oblivious to whatever else is going on in the world. And I chose to create like my bliss bubble. And so I started a brand, and before I had a website, it was already 6 figures. People were paying me to speak, and I was like, how much do you charge? And I was like, I don't know, $2,000 a minute? They was like, okay, come on. Shit, that's what? 3,000 men. You said that you agreed too quick, right? Just to literally stand up and talk to people from a place of truth for me. And because we did not have the representation, because I didn't see anybody who looked like me who had that, because I didn't see coaches and mentors and presidents and CEOs who looked like me, who had my hair and my skin and my swag, I said, we need representation. And so literally I was kind of on a retreat, and I was just in my own time, and I call God Sugar, and that just stands for sugar, like spirit, universe, God, ancestors. So SUGA, whatever you think keeps the stars in the sky, just insert that, right? And Sugar said to me, it gets to be this sweet. But how will they know if you don't shine the light? Like, you have to be the representation. You got to be the first one. You got to stand boldly. It's the reason why I gave you so much fire, so much spice, so much energy. Like, it's not just to go to waste. And so I started it, and then I had a team, and they were like, you got to create this. And I got all these brand deals. And then I was like, wait, what the heck? Like, people want to collab. And I'm like, well, what is a collab? I had no concept of anything I wasn't working for. And I had to really stop and say, I allow this. I'm worthy of the bag. Like we always say, you chase the bag, but you got to feel worthy of this. Because if you don't feel worthy of a life that you don't have to grind for. And grind was like what I thought success was supposed to be a prerequisite, like grinding. So I used to be proud of myself to say, I got, even my team now, they talk about me because I have lifetime Marriott, a platinum, diamond, elite, whatever. And I'm like, when I think about it, that's because I was on the road. I lived in hotels. I I was always gone. And now I leave here, I'm going to Nicaragua for a week. And that's work, but that's not work. That's soul work. That's aligned work. And it gets to be this easy. So when I talk to people, especially people who don't think that it's normal to not have to like choose success versus happiness. Like it's people right now who are making a decision because they have a certain lifestyle or bills or whatever. They are sacrificing their own happiness to do jobs they absolutely hate. And they don't think they have a choice because they were taught that's what you do. So they get up every day, the alarm clock goes off, they go to a job that they hate, and this creates a dis-ease within your body. That's just, how I felt. So every day I choose me in a nutshell. I am selfishly happy that I'm going to always secure my own oxygen mask first. And then I'll do what brings me joy. And if that includes you, then that's good. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And I make that full stop. And I'm teaching women, especially melanated women, who are not taught to choose themselves. I was cooking and cleaning and taking care of a family and all these things before I even knew how to properly put on a bra, right? I was 9 years old and I could cook a full course meal. I took care of my entire family. And this was what it was supposed to be. I saw my mom do it. I saw my grandma do it. Like that was the trajectory. And then I had a daughter and it all changed. And I have normalized that luxury and abundance. She will never know that it's not supposed to feel this way. When I say I'm breaking generational curses and generational strongholds, I'm talking about ways we have been raised to think. And we watched everybody before us think that way, so we never questioned it. But even you, me, when we think about our parents, our grandparents, we love them and we honor them, but I wouldn't choose their life. Like if I could walk into a store of lives, I wouldn't choose my mom's. I love her and I honor her, but I want a life that feels softer than the life that she led. And I want my daughter, whose name is Promise, to have a life that feels even softer than the one that I've created. And that's how, and she will teach her daughters that yes, you're supposed to expect that this is what life is supposed to feel like. And it'll be nothing that she has to even think about. She won't have to undo years of teachings. And some of them are from church or institutions, but she won't have to undo years of those teachings just to believe that she's worthy.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Round of applause for Today we are celebrating Soul Sparks. Today we are celebrating the soft life. And today we are embracing the art of receiving and enjoying life, enjoy and abundance. Nikki, as we come to a close with you today here, your book is highly anticipated, I have to say, highly anticipated book is coming out this year. What is maybe something that's unexpected that people can get excited about and lean into as they flip through the pages of The Savage Spiritualist?
So this book starts with me being on a train. I was on a train taking a trip. So I live in Florida and I got on the train and I was going down to Miami and I sat in the in the little section of the train, took out my computer and I was just kind of typing. And there was a young lady kind of sitting like out of my peripherals. I could see her, she could see me, but I just nodded, smiled, and started doing what I was doing. And she kind of scooted to the end of her seat, which was closer to me, and she leaned in and she said, "I used to hate women like you." I was like, what? Like, the next thing will determine how this plays out. What do you mean? I go, what do you mean women like me? And she said, women who have it all together. You sitting there, you have a Chanel bag, you look and I was thinking, girl, you don't know the half. And the next 4 hours on that train, I basically had almost like a manifestation mindset, mini accelerator boot camp with this girl. Because it was either that or choke her out and go to jail. So that wasn't an option. But I mean, you just never know what people are feeling. And then talked to Deepika. We were in a mastermind together and became best girlfriends, talked all the time. And she talked to me about, girl, my life is a whole movie. And so my book will ultimately be a movie or a mini series or something. But she asked me about it and I was like, girl, I mean, like, Tyler Perry already killed my narrative. Like, we came from the struggle, we had it hard. Like, how many movies, books do we want to read about this? And then she was like, no, that's not it. And that night I was laying in bed and a movie called Aquila and the Bee came on. And Marianne Williamson has a poem, and that is what made me call Deepika and say, not only do I want to do the book, but I'll only do it if you are you got to ghostwrite it. I don't even know how to start. Like, you have to be the name that's on it. And she was like, well, what changed your mind? And I said, because my deepest fear is not that I'm inadequate.
Your deepest fear is that you are powerful beyond measure, because it is your light.
And when I shine my light, I'm going to give so many women who have never had representation of that same light permission to shine. And so with that as the task that has been gifted to me, I just decided that until I honor all that I have endured, until I adore all that I have endured, then it won't be for no reason. Like, all the things that we've overcome and endured and have celebrated, it's really because I want my daughter to say, of course that's my mom. Of course that's she wasn't just crazy for nothing. Like, that's my mom. Like, I want her to grow up with like that idea. And Deepika, she sparked that like within my soul. So,
wow. And as you let your light shine, you give people the permission to experience all that you are. Thank you so much, Nakia. We're excited for your book. I encourage you all to find Nakia and follow her work and just experience your energy. Your energy is beautiful. Thank you so much. So we have a special guest that is joining us here today. Her name is Erica Bacchus, and she has written a powerful, powerful story. It is a story about her life. It is a story about her husband's life and how he made the decision with Erica about how he was going to leave this world. And Erica, you are such a light and you are such an advocate for choice and for just exploration and understanding. And you have written the most beautiful book. I have to say, I had an opportunity to read the manuscript of the book, and your book was nominated by Deepika to be considered for the Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed bestseller recognition, and it is such a delight and an honor to let you know that your book was selected. It has had one of the highest scores that we have seen based on our evaluation criteria. So Erica Bacchus, on behalf of myself, our editor-in-chief, Olive Manuel, and our CEO, Mo Rock, we're delighted to let you know that you are officially considered a Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed bestseller. So congratulations. Oh, Ronnie is saying that it is time for us to take a picture. And Deepika would love for you to join us. Thank you, Ronnie. So congratulations, Erica. Today, yes, you get to keep this. Today we're going to talk about please come sit. Today we're going to talk about the impact that grief can have on individuals' lives. So I would like to invite Debbie Rosenfeld and Rhonda Hudson to join us for this conversation where we're going to explore the impact of disease, of terminal illness, of long-term challenges, and about how individuals from all around the world navigate grief. Grief is inevitable. It comes up in our lives in many different ways. Erica, we're going to start with you. So we had an opportunity to speak in the past, and you said that you didn't write your book because you wanted to write a book. You were writing your book as a way to heal. I don't want to say the story from my perspective. I would love for you to share what the experience was like for you and your husband toward the end of his life and the choices that you all made and how now and why now you're on the other side and really sharing that story with the world through your upcoming book.
Those are a lot of questions.
I know.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. The name of my book is A Promise Kept, Honoring His Wishes, Embracing Our Love. And that's really what the story is about. It's a love story. It's a story about family and loyalty and courage. And it's a story about being true to yourself, which my husband had some very strong beliefs about who he was and what life meant. He was diagnosed in 2020 with Alzheimer's. And the day he was diagnosed, he asked the team of neurologists at UCSF 2 questions. One was, can I still drink alcohol? And 2, how long before I'm a vegetable? And we walked out of there, and probably within the next day or 2, he told me, I do not want to live to the end of this disease. If I don't have my brain, I am not a person. If I cannot give back to the world, there is no point in being here. None of what he said was new to me. We had discussed it for years in our 41 years of marriage. But there was no way for him to end his life in the United States because the laws do not allow people with dementia to choose any kind of help with suicide. And he was healthy as a horse. He would have lived for years. And we talked about different forms of suicide. I mean, he was as brutally honest as he could be. And slowly but surely, he started to decline through the typical phases of Alzheimer's. And I had said to him, don't worry, sweetheart, I will take care of you. You'll live at home. I'm never going to put you in an institution. And he would say, that's not realistic. 2 years after his diagnosis, I found a place in Switzerland that allows you to legally participate in assisted suicide. It is a way to die peacefully, painlessly, and quickly with dignity. It took me 3 weeks to approach him to tell him that I found an out. It took me 3 weeks because I didn't want to tell him on a good day, I didn't want to ruin his day. I didn't want to tell him on a bad day because he wouldn't be able to process it. So once I did tell him, he said, okay, let's do this. And from that point on, I worked to fill out the forms and do the documentation, get everything in order so that he could die. It took 7 months of documentation. And I won't go into the details here, it's all in the book. So on July 23rd, what year, 2023, we got on an airplane and flew to Switzerland, and he died on July 26, 2023. And when I came home, I was a mess. I didn't realize how much of a mess I was. And I sat down and started writing. I had kept journals during the process. And I just started writing. I had never written anything other than business stuff before. But I just started writing and writing and writing, and it felt good. And it was my therapy. And I thought, oh, I like this writing kind of thing. And I signed up for an online writing class. And you're invited to share in the writing class. And so I shared a chapter here or a chapter there. And my instructor said, Erica, you have a book here. And then the other people in the class said, Erica, you have a book here. And I said, oh, all right. If this is a book, maybe the experience can help other people. And that's how the book started.
Thank you so much, Erica, for sharing your story courageously. We're a little bit too close to each other. Thank you so much for sharing your story courageously, and for helping people learn, right? For just exposing them to something different and helping them learn. I think that's what's so beautiful about all of the authors that are here today and all of the authors that are signed with Soul Sparks Press. Everyone has a story, everyone's story is different, and everyone's story matters. So thank you so much for sharing A Promise Kept with us, with the world, and congratulations again on your critically acclaimed bestseller. Debbie, we're gonna go over to you. We're gonna switch up the order a little bit, keep people on their toes over here. You work with individuals and you help them understand and navigate grief. What has that experience been like for you? And inevitably, life happens, and we don't know what people are going through in this room and beyond because everyone has a story. What is it that you would want them to just be aware about or remember if they are navigating something right now, or if they eventually or inexplicably end up experiencing some grief in the future?
So first off, let's just speak to the elephant in the room. And loss and grief are really difficult to talk about, right? It's sad. People don't want to hear or listen to sad. Yet, it's part of life, birth and death. And so how can we see loss and grief through new eyes? And that's been my experience since I lost my son. So it first starts off by honoring our experience of what we are experiencing in the moment. It's a tragedy, sudden death, lose a job, lose your house. They all experience that here in LA this year, right? It devastates you. It hits you hard. And what we tend to do in our world is push it away and not deal with it. I bring to the table, let's honor what we are experiencing in the moment. I call this to thine own self be true. We have to honor ourselves first in order to process. It's just like what Erica sharing her beautiful story of honoring her husband and what he needed for himself. So it's like, how do we honor what we're going through, but then walk through the grief, walk through what we've experienced to feel more empowered. Because when we honor and acknowledge what we are experiencing, we grow. So what if loss is an invitation to grow? That's how I look at it.
Wow, it's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And Rhonda, yes, Rhonda, the mic. Rhonda, what is it about, because everyone has a story, right? We know this. What is it about this moment in time in your life that has encouraged you to walk boldly and open up to and share your story and your experiences?
That's a very good question. I really believe that humanity is shifting. We're shifting into our hearts. We're becoming conscious of what we're creating. And when my dad had his first episode, so the title of my book is called The Blessings of Alzheimer's and Dementia, God's Gift to Humanity. And I received that title when I was flying over because my father was diagnosed with Lewy bodies dementia. And I was flying over from Monaco back to California, and I was exhausted. I had been on the time-hour difference dealing with what he was experiencing, trying to handle it from a different time zone. And I talked to the steward and I said to him, just give me 2 bottles of water. I need to sleep. I need to prepare because I'm going to land and I have no idea what I'm really moving into. And 30 minutes into the flight, there was this voice in my head and it said, get up and get your backpack. And that's where I keep my journal. And so I said, no. I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. I can't do this. And the voice was very persistent. And so I got up, got my backpack, and that came through. And I wrote down just a few things because it was so direct, the messages. Like, what if Alzheimer's and dementia is a path back to source? What if, and these were so, like, I wrote for 10 hours. It was a transmission, you know, it was just coming through, and it was so incredible because when I was told about the dementia and Alzheimer's, people were like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry. And there was a part of me that said, I don't want to look at it like this. This has not been my journey personally. And I know there is another way to see this. And I wanted to open my heart. And I wanted to believe that maybe this is a gift. And maybe this is a place for humanity, that this has always been a part of humanity's blueprint, like a safety net, for us to realize that we've gotten a little bit too far away from love, and that we're here to be present. We're here to be in our hearts. And even listening to all the people up on stage this evening, it's so beautiful because this is a place where collectively everyone here is really heartfelt. They're talking about their experiences. They're sharing. They're opening themselves up. They're becoming vulnerable. And they're living their authentic self. And it's beautiful. And that's what Blessings of Alzheimer's and Dementia is about. It's God's gift to humanity and how we can see it differently.
That was really, really beautiful. The soul sparks are flying. She said creating 1 million soul sparks, one story at a time, and that is definitely occurring. Thank you all for sharing glimpses of your stories, and we're looking forward to the releases of your books coming out. As we come to a close here with this conversation, Erica, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Rhonda, and then we'll go to Debbie. What is a lesson that you have learned from grief or navigating or experiencing grief that you would like to share with someone that's sitting here today that will touch their soul and just bring them that glimmer of hope that there are lessons, there is joy on the other side of that grief?
I don't think there is another side to grief. I don't expect to ever stop grieving, frankly. It's different today than it was a year ago, or a year and a half ago. But I think everybody responds to grief differently. A lesson, I think, is that we need to accept that grief as part of the process of our living, and there's no way to escape it. And it's not something you get over. It's something you live with, and you live through, and you take it with you. And of course, but John, my husband, one of his big worries was, please, Erica, keep living after I die. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm 81 years old, and I wrote a book. And it was, I feel like he inspired me to keep going, and he inspired me to keep living and to find the joy in my life. And that doesn't mean that there won't be days where I'll be sitting there with tears every time Neil Diamond sings a song. So I think that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. And Rhonda, do you have
So for me, if I look at grief, I would say that it is a part of the divine design, and that it is a pathway also to love. And that doesn't mean to ignore it, but maybe to embrace it, embody it, and really feel into it, because it is a part of this process of being human.
Thank you. And Debbie?
Yeah, there is a quote by Henry Miller that says, life isn't a destination, it's just seeing it through new eyes.
So wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Erica, Rhonda, and Debbie for joining us today and sharing their stories. Thank you very much. You do get to take this. And so we actually have two special guests here that are in the audience. And I would like to introduce the two of them. The first guest that we have with us, her name is Marie Diamond. She was the star of the hit movie The Secret. She is a feng shui expert. She is the author of her most recent book, Your Life is a Vision Board. And she has joined us here today. And we also have Ken Honda, who is here. He flew here. He's from Japan. He has sold over 9 million copies of his books worldwide. One of his books that is acclaimed is Happy Money. And I don't know if Deepika told you about this, but Deepika is part of a very, very special project. It's called The Pillars of Power, and it is a film produced by the Los Angeles Tribune that is exploring the hidden secrets of success. And Marie Diamond and Ken Honda are her co-stars in the film. So Marie, I'd love to invite you out here to join us today. And Ken, I would love to invite you also out here to join us today. And Deepika, I'd like to invite you here to sit as we have this conversation with both Ken Honda and Marie Diamond. Okay. So, Marie, today we are having conversations about soul sparking stories. And for you, you have been sharing your story with the world, your story about energy and the spaces that people inhabit. You recently came out with a book. Your home is a vision board. I mean, you are a feng shui expert. You work with celebrities. You speak all around the world. You have a course on Mind Valley. You have an app, the Marie Diamond Compass. But you came out with this book called Your Home is a Vision Board. Can you please tell those that are in the audience today a little bit more about why you decided to write the book Your Home is a Vision Board, and what people can expect to experience as they go through the pages of the book? And I have to say, it's fascinating. I read it and then I bought one for my mom.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. So I know many of you have read the book or seen a movie called The Secret. May I have some hands up? Yes.
There's a lot of people here.
So, you know, as one of the master teachers in the movie and the bestseller, actually the only European one in it, I always felt that a lot of people don't really understand that their environment, their home, is part of their manifestation process. And so it's actually when The Secret came out, literally, Rhonda Byrne reached out to me and said, The Secret is not working for me. And so that's when I came in and said to her, well, your space is not reflecting of what you want to become. It's still kind of telling who you are at this moment, but it's not reflecting and aligning with the goals and the vision you have. And so one of the visions she had was she wanted to be on the Oprah Winfrey show. That was at that moment, you know, weekly still on. And I said, well, let's get a magazine of the Oprah Winfrey show and put it out in a really good place for you so you would see it all the time. Because I said to her, it's not just making a vision board. You have to understand that everything around you is giving you a message as a vision board. The colors, the images, the way you position yourself, it is all reflecting that. And so for her, it was like a big aha moment. And so that is when, after preparing her home as a vision board, when The Secret really took off. And so people call me as a nickname, The Secret Behind the Secret. But the whole point is that this is a process I've done since I'm 15, to really understand that, you know, you go to bed is that bedroom reflecting romance? You go to your workspace, is that workspace, your office, or even your dining room where you work there, is that reflecting the goals you have for success and abundance? So that's actually what I wanted to share in the book Your Home is a Vision Board, to understand that, the manifestation tool you overlook the most is right where you are.
I have to tell you something, Marie. When I knew you were going to be in the movie, I picked up your book and I read it. And in her book, she says if this section needs this and this should have this, and there's an app and there's a compass, and you go around your house and you make sure everything's in the right spot. And I did it once, and then I did it twice, and I did it 3 times, and I'm like, everything is in the right spot in my house. No wonder we're sparking souls.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I love that. Your home is a vision board. So invite you all and encourage you all to, when you go home, take a look at your space and look at what it's telling you, and then think about what would you like it to say about you and where your life is going. Ken, it is such a pleasure to have you here at the Barnes and Nobles at the Grove in Los Angeles. You live in Japan and you have been traveling around the world, and it is such a treat for you to be here with us today. You have written many, many books, but you are known for your book, Happy Money. Can you talk a little bit about the energy of money and what happy money is all about? Because it really is a paradigm shifting kind of experience when you really think about it.
Thank you. Konbanwa. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. And I can see everybody's going like this. When Mary was talking about it, everybody is so powerful here. So I'm so happy that we are creating a vortex of energy to attract what we want. So I think everything is energy. Money is energy. So I want you to take a look at your wallet, to look at your credit card. What kind of feeling do you have? If that brings you a good feeling, you are in the flow of having money. If you feel frustrated, then you are in the flow of unhappy money. So money can touch every area of your life. If you have a good relationship with money, your life will be good. But these days, the inflation and everything is going up in prices, so we feel a little squeeze about money. So here's a challenge. As long as we appreciate money coming in and money going out, we can have a better relationship. So the only key is to arigato your money. When you have money in your bank account online, and then you can say thank you money for coming in. And the key is when you spend money, when you say goodbye to money, you say thank you for staying with me, even though it was a short stay. Come back as soon as possible with your friends. So don't attach to the money, just let it go. So if you let it go, it's like, when you eat, but if you refuse to go to the bathroom, that's not healthy. So really, eating well, releasing well is the key to health. Money is the same thing.
Love that.
And in America right now, money is a big topic in a wide variety of ways, given our geopolitical climate right now. And it can also make us, outside of our own individual reality about money, feel some kind of way. So what would you say to people when they're looking at the situation of money around us on a more global scale about how they themselves can respond to the situation within themselves?
So money is a reflection of what's going on inside. If you're so frustrated, then money feels like a terrible thing. But if you're happy, somehow money flows you easily. How many of you experience that difference between the happy flow and unhappy flow, right? So if you just find peace with yourself and then focus on what you can do to help other people, the more you help other people in quality and quantity, then you receive more. So just don't worry about what's going on in the world. It's nothing to do with you. As long as you focus on what you can give to the world. I used to do accounting in my 20s, and I realized that only you need 100 clients, and maybe if you want to be wealthy, you need only 1,000 clients who keep paying you. So if you can find some people who can resonate in the whole world and then keep paying you enough money, even though the Great Depression happens, you can still sing in the rain. My English is getting better.
It is amazing. Marie, you talk about the energy of space around people. What is something that is so simple and kind of so often kind of overlooked or forgotten about how people can increase and expand the energy and the vibrations around them in a very simplistic but very also impactful way?
Well, the first step is we need to kind of really go to our home and have almost like an audit. And I always say, just think if the universe would come in right now. And remember, you are the universe. So the moment you walk into that space, is your energy picks up what is there. And so when you look through it and you say, is this who I am? Or is this who I want to be? So ask yourself these very simple questions. And just look at everything with a moment of grace, a moment of gratitude, like, well, you have a home. I know how it is to be homeless. I've been there, right? So I have a beautiful home now, right? I'm every day expressing that gratitude for what I already have. Even if it's something simple, perhaps it's a one flower you have instead of a big plant, but be grateful for everything that is there. And then also let go of things that are not longer serving you for your highest good. Because when you have chaos around you and clutter, we're actually reflecting that perhaps there's an inner chaos in us that we have been reflecting out, but what is outside of you is reflecting back into you also. And so perhaps it's harder to concentrate, to focus, or to even be happy because everything around you is cluttered. So clutter always creates lower vibrations. So these are the two simple things. It's like start opening one closet and go through it and say, is this serving me for my highest good? What I still have? Do I need to use it? Is it practical? It's not about having joy about it, but just be practical about it. And so let go, and as you're letting it go, and you're giving it to a charity, or perhaps you're selling it on a vintage app, you're creating a flow and you create happy money.
I love that. It's all connected. So Deepika, Marie, Ken, Angela Kung is also here, Mrs. Asia USA, are all in the upcoming film called The Pillars of Power, The Hidden Secrets to Success, that explores the 5 pillars of relationship, of wealth, of mental health, of, Donna, please help me, spirituality, and physical health. And so it is such a delight. You've heard a glimpse of some of the experiences that all of their wisdom is rooted in, but it's such a beautiful film produced by the Los Angeles Tribune and directed by the Vice President of the Los Angeles Tribune Film Division, Donna Campbell, who flew in from Montana to be here with us today. It is such a delight. If Deepika hasn't told you, I am so happy that she is in this film. She is such a bright light. She brought so much perspective to the film, talking about her journey with first writing her book, Hello Universe, It's Me, but really stepping into all that she's about. And Ken and Marie, you inspire people to step into what they are all about in the areas that are kind of always around them, money, and their environment. And so it is such a delight that you all have been able to join us today in the celebration of Soul Sparks Press publishing, the authors here, but also the impact of stories and what books can do. So thank you to both of you for joining us today. Thank you. Thank you. So we are going to take what I would like to call a 45-second pause because I was told that we need to maybe adjust the batteries for the mic. So I will maybe walk around a little bit and wait for Rachel. But as I do that, I would like for someone to stand up and share something that they learned today. Anybody would like to stand up and share something that they learned today that was maybe unexpected, but they're gonna think about? Kathleen? Is there something that you learned today about yourself, about someone else's story that maybe inspired you to think a little bit differently or to take some reflections back home to ponder?
I actually loved, I once upon a time was a registered nurse and I actually worked in a dementia care unit in Calgary, Alberta. And it was one of the jobs that I truly loved the most. And so I really loved, and I'm so sorry I don't recall her name, but when she was talking about cognitive impairment and returning source, I had actually never thought of that before or had that awareness.
I thought that was really special, really beautiful. And it simply is a lack of awareness to what they were once aware of. So essentially returning. So I thought that was a brilliant statement, what she said.
I love that. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to share? No one would like to share? You didn't learn anything today? Okay, yes.
I really appreciated the adore everything that I've endured, to adore everything that I've endured. That was really powerful for me. Um, and a really great reminder of I've been through some shit and I'm still here. And so to appreciate and really love upon that journey that has brought me here. So thank you.
I love that. I'm going to leave this question here because I'm going to invite our next panel to come up, but I'm going to ask you all some questions. So take some mental notes. It is an honor to bring Deepika back here to help me introduce the authors of the Desi Divorcee, which is a compilation book about women that have gone through divorces, and their stories are so different. Deepika, you are the editor of the book. You are the contributing author of the book. As I invite Loveleen to come up, Preet to come up, Sharon to come up, Jesse to come up, Priya to come up, and Sabrina to come up. Deepika, I would love for you to kind of set the tone and set the context about what Desi Divorcee was all about and why you specifically and intentionally invited all of these women to come and share their stories of their experiences going through divorce, but also like experiencing their lives and their journeys and claiming all that they are.
These are just some of the authors in this book. We had 12 absolutely incredibly inspiring women who were brave enough to share their stories with the world. Look at them. They're gorgeous. They're smart. They're successful. They are everything that we in Indian culture are taught and conditioned to become. But the one area where I would say in our own Indian culture, we're not particularly modern in is the topic of divorce. Marriage is considered the absolute pinnacle. You're not done raising your child until you have them married. And one of the topics that we don't discuss enough is what happens when those marriages don't work. And these women were brave, courageous, and absolutely honored. I was honored for them to come into this beautiful collaboration book. Their book has been number one in Canada, still top 100 new release. And I think it's all because this conversation actually had to be told. And they were brave enough to say yes. And not only are they saying yes, they've been on doing a book tour. They've been to Vancouver. We've been to San Francisco Bay Area. We're headed to Toronto next. And they are sparking souls. Every room they speak to cries, smiles, and they all see themselves in each of their stories. So, ladies and gentlemen, these women are the ultimate powerhouses, the ultimate brave ladies who have shared the most incredible stories in the Desi Divorcee.
Thank you so much, Deepika. I think we're going to start with Jesse. So I'm going to go to the other side and give you the mic. And Jesse, I would love for you to share a little bit about the work that you do in wellness, but why it was important for you to share your story about your experiences, about choosing yourself, and about taking up and claiming and holding all of the space that is yours so rightfully so. So, Jesse, would love to start with you for you to share a little bit more about your story and why it was so important to tell. It's such an important story. And it's been a pleasure and honor to learn more about it and speaking with you previously.
First off, I just want to say that to be up here and share space with everybody who's already been up here and to hear you speak, I'm incredibly honored and I can't believe I'm a part of that group. So thank you. And that was a loaded question. So
No, it was loaded, but it was an important one because I think your story is so important. And
Thank you.
it's so it can be so liberating for many people and people that you may not even need or expect that hear your story. It can just do so much for them. So.
Thank you. I became a psychosomatic therapist and a psychedelic therapist specifically because of the experience of my marriage that I had gone through. I believe it was truly after 12 years, I didn't understand that the trauma still lived in my body. And in order for me to work that out, there was an aspect of myself that I had severed. And that was the somatic aspect, which is the body, the feeling, the stories in the cells, in the marrow of our bones. But I'm in that. I realized that I was repeating my mother's stories because she was also a part of my body and I was a part of her body that would never be disconnected. So my story really is about intergenerational trauma and understanding that the way you even chose your partner has a lot to do with your parental dynamic, and then understanding how to make choices out of change and personal power as opposed to repeating the same patterns because that's what we were shown through what our parents did.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for sharing. I think we're gonna go to Kari next. Can you please share a little bit about oh, sorry. We're gonna go to Shannon next. Can you please share a little bit more about your story?
Yeah, my story was I talked about the loss of my dad and also becoming a mom simultaneously. And I really wanted to share my story because I know a lot of times women don't leave because of the children. And I had a 1 and 2 year old at the time. And so I did want to make sure that I told people that you could leave. And even though it's a struggle, your kids will thrive afterwards.
Thank you. You can just continue down the line if you could hand over the mic.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Loveline. The reason I decided to share my divorce story was because I have 3 nieces that I hope that they see me as an inspiration, as all they can do with their life choices and even picking your partner. I think I had amazing parents that gave me a good background on how to raise kids, how to be a part of a family unit. And so, what was important for me was just making sure that women know that they're not alone when they are in marriage, and making sure that we're speaking about the issues that are happening in our community.
My name is Sabrina, and my chapter is called Never Settle, Even If You're Older. And I wanted to share my story because I felt that there's a lot of women in my community, South Asian community, Desi community, who are sort of pressured to get married, and their successes in their personal life and their professional life is kind of overlooked in our community. We're not really successful until we get married. And I wanted to share my perspective and, sort of encourage Desi women to go beyond marriage, and seek other sort of avenues in life, and not sort of make marriage your be all end all sort of deal.
My name is Priya. My chapter is called Unwritten, and the reason why I wanted to be a part of this project was because I wanted to give a voice back to those who felt like they didn't have one, especially within relationships. I think growing up in a South Asian community, we're told marriage is kind of like the be all end all. And for me, my divorce wasn't my final chapter. It was just the start of my new one.
So as you all, and we are going to start back with you, Jesse. As you all think about this chapter, we're gonna go with that theme of the chapter that you are in your life right now. You've shared your story in the book, but what is something that you haven't shared in the book about your experience or the wisdom that you've gotten from the experience that you'd like to share with everyone today as your closing remarks?
The one thing in the book that I don't think I shared to the fullest extent that I could have is in leaving environments that you are not thriving in, you truly do cross a threshold of magnificence and your life gets better. If you can cross that threshold that's been holding you back for however many years, probably since before birth, because the stories were embedded in you pre in utero or in utero, and then the stories were reiterated again and again. So I think the one thing that I didn't share enough is how magnificent it is on the other side of fear.
I think I didn't share in my chapter is just how dependent I was and how scared I was to be alone. And I think now I thrive in it. I think I am really doing a good job as a mom and in every other aspect of my life. And I feel like I'm just so much more confident. Had to think about this. Something I didn't share in the book, I would say just the perspective of my like afterwards looking at it. I think I've now learned to embrace grief. Very quickly touch on the fact that my grandfather had passed away right before I decided to get married, and it was me trying to fulfill this role model. I wanted to envision my husband to be like my grandfather, and so I think realizing that I didn't know how to process grief, and then having gone through divorce, that's when I learned how to grieve my old self, and even just like the relationships I had, and so that was I think a lot of growth there, yeah, personally.
What about you, Sabrina?
I think for me, one thing I didn't share was that going through the whole process of divorce, for me personally, it was about finding freedom to live the life that I want to live and not the life that my family wanted me to live or my society wanted me to live. It was sort of finding my own authentic self. And I'm still kind of going through that, just trying to live without having that thought in my mind of like, what will my family think or anything like that. It's just more about what do I want? And that's how I'm trying to move forward with my life.
It's so beautiful. Thank you.
I think one thing I didn't share or highlight enough in my chapter was the shame I felt as a couples therapist being in an unsuccessful relationship. But walking away at the very end of my divorce, it wasn't that it was unsuccessful. It was just that it wasn't the right relationship for me. And I learned so much more about myself and my self love that now going into another relationship, I can't wait to experience what that feels like.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Deepika, for bringing these beautiful women together to share their stories. The Desi Divorcee book is here. It is over at the counter. So when we wrap up here, encourage you to go and take a look and to grab a copy if you are so pulled to do so. But appreciate you all for stepping into all that you are and for sharing your stories. And congratulations on the continued success of the DC Divorcee that has been #1 when it came out, and it is still on the top selling charts. So congratulations. And I have to say that we are delighted for you all to have come out to share your stories, to impact your community, to show a different perspective of what relationships mean, particularly the relationship that you have with yourself, and to inspire those around you. And so On behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune, we are honored and we are delighted to present you all with Community Impact Awards for owning your story, stepping up with your story, and impacting your community in ways that we are only just now starting to see. So congratulations, you all were nominated by Deepika. And we are delighted to present you with this award. Here you go, Sabrina. And we'll take a quick photo. Jesse, here you go. So congratulations. I just have to hold it to the bottom of the butt. I'm sorry. We have a lot of treats here, so yeah, if we could just hold it like that, I'll grab yours in a second. And here you go, Deepika. But we really just wanted to honor you all because we know it's an important story and topic and reclaiming of self, and that really does impact communities because you're inspiring people to live in their truths and to step into that, and that takes a lot of courage. So congratulations.
All right, everyone looking right here. 1, 2, 3. Nobody move. Okay.
Thank you so much. All right, so there's been a lot of depth and breadth of the stories that have been told today and the ones that you will hear from. We appreciate you all for joining. We know there are a lot of authors here, but everyone has a story. And so you're just getting a glimpse of some of the authors that are signed to Soul Sparks Press or are working with Deepika. And so for our next panel, we're going to introduce what we're going to call the happy panel. We are going to smile. We are going to laugh. I would love to bring Rosie, Kari, Jesse, Shannon, and Susie up to join me. These incredible women, they're not only writing books, but you know, there's an exciting surprise here, right? You all are part of a first. I feel like there are many first. You're part of the very first journal from Soul Sparks Press. And we know that it is speaking to everyone and every one of their souls. And so, Jesse, we're going to start with you because you've been a part of different projects and different experiences with Soul Sparks Press. And so, my question for you is what encouraged you to kind of expand the depth and the breadth and the reach of your connection to yourself, to your story, but also your connection to Soul Sparks Press's mission in the world?
Soul Sparks was something that fell in my lap actually through Rosie. Rosie is a client of mine, and she introduced me to Deepika. And Deepika and I fell in love when we started speaking. And I found it very difficult for me to reject the idea that there was synchronistic connections happening that I couldn't trust. I absolutely trusted them. They felt accurate. So that in itself was, big heck yeses for me. And after having experienced 10 years of heck no's, I finally learned how to experience and understand the yeses in my body. And that just happened to be one of those natural responses that it just made sense. When I try and explain it, it's like there's no reason or rhyme behind it except for the feeling in my body was, absolutely. And in terms of expanding and sharing my story and understanding myself more to share more, again, I think it has a lot to do with the generations that came before that didn't have the resources. My parents were in survival mode most of the time, so they didn't necessarily have the privilege to experience expansion the way we do now. And
I really understand that privilege to be a birthright. And I really understand that privilege to then become a choice in power. So if there's privilege and you're not using it to benefit yourself and everybody around you, then why were you even born in that era? Why were you even given that life? Why were you even given those parents? Why were you even given those aha moments in your mind that thinks differently? I don't want to look at privilege as something I should be ashamed of. I want to utilize it and I want to share it. And that really is the ultimate goal for me, to recognize that not everybody has that privilege, but if you do, you know, you have a responsibility.
So powerful. I heard you say good, Shannon. So we're gonna come to you next. We're calling this the happy panel. I would love for you to share what is something that brings you joy and why have you stepped into sharing your story with the world? And I'm gonna go over here so there's not an echo.
Is this on? Okay, yeah. So what brings me joy, one, is music for sure. But this love letters journal to myself is that it kind of came like I was in a place of despair. I was really broken. I lost my fun. Or happiness, you say happiness, but fun for me is just who I am, and I want people to see me and they're like, oh, she's so fun, she's so fun. And I lost that for so long. And the only thing I could do was write to myself what I wanted to see. I've learned how to manifest that, and I wrote it down. And I was like, I gotta love myself first. And so through writing the letters, I'm like, okay, I love to dance. I love 90s music, 90s rap music. That's my jam. And so putting that kind of music on, that gave me my fun back, my spark back. And yeah, so Deepika said to me, Shani, you have a book in you. And I was like, okay, she's probably said it to everyone here. But I was like, I'm not ready to write the book yet. I'm going through a separation and I'm just not there yet. But I do want to have fun. I want to play and I want to write this love letter. So I speak sometimes not proper English. Is that right? Not proper English. So I'm writing a book. I can't even really speak English. But I have a lot of Shani-isms. And so my book is, and Deepika and I sat down, the book is a lot of, the journal is a lot of Shani-isms because it's fun. And that's what I wanted to do. So joy, music, fun.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Shannon. And now we're gonna go to Rosie. So, Rosie, what is something that brings you a lot of joy or makes your heart smirk, smile from the inside out? And why is it that you decided to take that leap of faith to walk in your story, but also to share it with the world?
I love that so much. So I feel like throughout our lives, we forget how to be happy. And I remember being a young girl and just on a notepad scribbling happy, looking at it, and I'm like, what does that even mean? What does it mean? Right? Is it a feeling? Is it achieving something? Is it, what is it? And we're programmed from so little to live out the dreams I feel of others, our parents, society, and whatnot. And every single one of us here are, I'm going to say, victim to it, but we are much more than that. And what brings me joy is when I discovered that, you know, it's not a destination, it's not something you achieve to become happy. It is a state of being. And it's our birthright to be happy, actually, and joyful. So when I went through my life, through many lived experiences that I share with actually everybody who's spoken so far, like some way, shape, or form, I've shared that. I was a nurse of 13 years. Took care of a grandmother who had Alzheimer's as well, and brought me to a lot of places in my life where I was like, this is a happy panel. I'm so sorry. It's happy. I'm telling you, it's happy. It's very happy. And I was like, there has to be more. Why am I not feeling this happiness, this joy? I ticked off all the boxes that you can think of. I'm the perfect daughter, the perfect wife, homeowner, mother to two beautiful boys. And it's like, but why am I not feeling happy inside? And it was because I wasn't listening to the very essence that is within me. So I was exposed to The Secret very early on in my life, and I was like, there has to be more. Like the soul is always searching for it, and that is what we completely dismiss our whole lives because we think we don't matter, and actually we matter the most. So it brings me so much joy in uncovering what manifestation is, because everything is manifested. It's already done. The infinite is literally possible. And just being here and, amongst all these authors and the surprises that have been here, it's just so beautiful because it's like my dreams are coming true and I didn't have to know the how. I just had to direct my focus to something that I'm worthy of it. So that brings me joy to now be able to teach that to others.
Thank you so much for sharing with me. What about for you, Dr. Carrie?
Wow, a lot of power in this room. So fantastic. So Devika said to me she's doing a class and something inside me sparked. I mean, how soul sparks, right? I mean, it couldn't be a better name. It sparked something in me and I said, I want to write. I didn't know what I wanted to write about, but I wanted to write because I knew it was in me. And I went back and I looked at some things in my journals and it said, I want to raise universal consciousness. And I want to make a difference and I want to serve the masses. And that's why I'm writing the book. And it's the yeses, the aha moments, being our authentic self, our essence. That's what brings me joy. And that's where I want someone to read that book and say, yeah, I get that. And it raises their consciousness and we make a difference. So that is truly my joy.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Carrie. And we're going to go over to you, Susie.
What's the question?
What brings you joy, and what is it within where you're at right now that inspired you to share your story?
What brings me joy is bringing the knowledge to people that when you have a pet, that it's not just a one-time interaction. It's not a 10, 12, 9-year interaction. Your pets will be with you once they graduate into the spirit life. And that's because we are ethereal beings. We are, the best way for me to explain it would be an ice cube that's put into a saucepan and you turn the flame on. The ice turns into water and it boils and you step away for 10 minutes and you come back and it's gone because it elevates into steam. And that's exactly what the human spirit is. We are spirits having a human experience. And I want people to go into a grief process. I tell people all the time, you're not getting signs because you're coming from a place of grief. When your pet wants to send you signs and they see that it makes you sad, they don't come as often. So my tagline has become, grief is not a place to unpack your bags and stay. It's a place to travel through at your own pace. But when you can think of your pet with a smile, that's when you'll be open to receive and you'll get exactly what you're looking for. And that's what makes me happy, bringing that message that just because your pet isn't with you in physical form doesn't mean you cannot connect and doesn't mean they won't reincarnate. RIP equals reincarnation is possible.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Susie. So, as we come to a close here, I would like for each of you, in a couple of brief words or phrases, to share what is something that you learned about yourself as you started writing your book out or your story that was unexpected, but you're so happy that you discovered. And we'll start with you, Sharon.
I tried to give it to Rosie, so I'm like, I'm gonna have a second to think about this. That I can actually write, like do this, like Deepika has just really pulled out some, like it's just the process has been so cool, and literally she's pulling magic out and putting it on pages, and that's the best way I can say it. This is all magic what she's doing, and so she's pulled out something magical within me, and I love it, and I love her for it.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Rosie.
So everybody has something within them, a gift. And I would love for you guys to discover that because it is your purpose here. Find your passion. I swear, step into your power and you will literally attract your best life.
Okay.
The question is, what did I learn while writing?
Yeah, what is something about yourself that you learned while writing your story that was maybe unexpected, but you're happy you discovered it?
I think it's the trust in myself. Just listening to what you have to say and be like, yeah, I trust me. I don't know how this is coming out, but I trust me. And it's okay how it turns out.
Yeah. I would have to echo that actually in the process of getting divorced and then healing and then changing my career and then writing the book and now writing another book. I would have to say that my authenticity and our authenticity as unique and individual humans is our superpower. The more we try to assimilate, the more we hold the magic away and the more we simmer with the discomfort of truly being ourselves, expressing it, committing to it, and growing within it, pushing ourselves to those edges of fear. That's where the magic of life is. That's where love is. That's where abundance is. That's where God is, universe, source. And in my opinion, I believe that authenticity is why we kind of even are living, is to remember who we really are.
Love that. And Susie, to close us out.
I think one of the things that I learned the most was when I submitted my book to Deepika, it was my second book. The first book I had written 12 years ago and just finished editing. And she said, send it to me. Because I was dead set on the second book. And when I got on the phone with her, she was like, oh my God, your book. And I was like, it was a personal story. There was a lot of personal connotations in it that I really didn't think were, I was like, well, there's probably a lot of stuff that has to be taken out. And she said, no, it's absolutely amazing. So making that personal story a public story, there was a young lady in here tonight. She's not here anymore. But she was talking about writing and she's written and she had a bad experience getting out of the military and you could see the fear in her eyes. And just to sit there and inspire her to write her story, that it would mean something to someone, that is what I learned. That I can inspire greatness in others.
There you can.
Yes, love that. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us here and sharing a glimpse of your story. I'm delighted to bring in our last panel, and this is going to be a very, very, very special panel of authors because they are the authors of the newest book that has come out recently from Soul Sparks Press, and it's called When the Universe Said Hello Back. So I'd love for Kelly and Christina and Poppy and Mandy and Deepika to come out here. When the Universe Said Hello Back came out a couple of weeks ago, and when it did, it was number one across 3 charts on Amazon and women's spirituality. It is still in the top best-selling charts, and it really is a deep dive, an exploration about what happens when you say knock knock, hello universe. And then the universe says something back. So I would love actually to start with Deepika to kind of frame how this book came to be. You wrote your book, Hello Universe, It's Me. And now this book, where you've invited many more people to share their stories, it's called When the Universe Said Hello Back. So can you please kind of frame how this came to be and why you wanted to steward this book into the world?
First off, this book was the most beautiful, most effortless way that it came together. I love all of my authors, but really this group holds such a special place because not only did they understand the concept that we were wanting to write about, they were all in on it from the very beginning. and their stories couldn't be more different from one another. We've got stories of divorce, we've got stories of infidelity, we've got stories of the way people grew up and how that manifested into the person they were as an adult. We've got stories of finding love again in their lives when they were told there wasn't going to be any love in their life again. So these women understood the assignment, and this book is absolutely exquisite.
Thank you for framing that so beautifully, Deepika. We're going to start with Mandy. So, Mandy, yes, Mandy, you are a contributing author to When the Universe Said Hello Back. And I'm curious, what was the question that you asked the universe so that you could try to figure out what it was trying to tell you back?
Well, for me, my story's about falling into my life, and it was actually a moment in my life where I felt like I had it together. I don't know if anyone else has ever had that. And I was actually taking down my Christmas tree and at the top, and I fell and I broke my arm and I broke my foot. And in that moment, I heard the universe. It was not gentle, it was fine. It was screaming at me. I had this whole book is about listening to those nudges when the universe is saying, like, hello, I'm here, and are you ever going to listen to me? So it wasn't pretty when I landed, and I was ready to listen because I asked myself, like, how is this my life? And I do swear in the book that other language, which I was nervous to do. And why am I okay with it? And I wasn't. And I think like many of us have that voice in our head, and my yoga teacher called it the itty bitty shitty committee. I had to really learn to cancel her out and reprogram my inner roommate that I had. And start listening to the universe. And it's just so beautiful, the sparks and everything that comes through when you do, and how you can reprogram it. And that's a big part of my story on how I did that.
So beautiful. If you could pass the mic to Christina to your left, please. Christina, when someone opens up the book and opens up your chapter, and there are many copies of the book back over here when you guys are walking out, what is something that you want them to be open to or aware about as they start reading your chapter?
Okay, so I would tell you my chapter is titled Repairing the Sorrows of My Past. And the opening line, if you can make it past that, which is, I'm having a baby by someone else. And that's not what the story is about. I want you to recognize that this is actually a catalyst, that this, in fact, was the vessel or the funnel. The funnel that actually, and much like with Mandy, I kind of fell into this next phase, the most powerful phase of my life that I've experienced so far. So keep reading, because this is not about infidelity. This is about, that was just the spark. What happened is in that moment, how I knew that this was what I was going to write about was through that experience, I actually experienced this beautiful little girl who actually helped me to unlock the love that I hadn't been missing for myself, the self-love journey that I had not taken just yet. I found that in this little girl, and the infidelity was one thing, but she in fact was the funnel to the future, to the life that I had not been living, that I had not given myself permission. So keep reading. It is not about infidelity, it's about self-love.
And you can hand the mic to Paki, keeping you all on your toes up here. Paki, what is something that you would like people to connect with when they open up your chapter in the book? Maybe something that's unexpected or maybe not surface level, that when they read it the first time, maybe it kind of went over their head, but if they open the book back up and they go right back to your chapter, what is it that you would really, really love for them to understand and know?
Wow. First, I'm really excited and very happy to be here. I never expected to be here. I never expected to write a book. And here I am. I couldn't let go of it right now. So what I feel that I wanted to share with everyone is when life hits you when you least expect it. So my story is about losing my late husband all of a sudden.
very young with two little boys. And the cultural norms and the social expectations, I come from Lebanon, the north part of Lebanon, very conservative family. And being defined as a widow did not sit well with me. I was expected to wear black for a long time. I was expected to keep wearing black even after a year because it's too early. I was expected not to leave the house unless it's for something very essential or for work. I was expected to be only the mom, which of course it is something super important, but it's not just being the mom. There's also me. So I wanted to wear colors. I have the right to wear colors. I have the right to be with friends, to go out. I have the right to live, just not to die with whoever died. And I have the right to be me. So this is really what I want the reader to take out of the story is taking care of self is not selfish. Taking care of self is really how you equip yourself to better serve those who you love the most. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So finding that balance between living for the ones who you love and at the same time honoring your needs is what I want the reader to take away.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And now, Kelly, we're going to go to you. Would love for you to share something about your journey in life, maybe over the years, that you maybe forgot about, but came up in the process of you thinking about and ultimately writing your chapter in the book.
Yeah, I actually didn't have a story set when we signed up to write this book. I knew there was something under the surface, and I think it was a soul spark that I even decided to write it. But what my story, Finding Ease, is about is how I went from living a life of desperation to living a life full of inspiration. So for me, that journey meant that I needed to, first of all, acknowledge that my past does live inside me. It's not something that I can compartmentalize any longer. And then I had to really think about how the past lived within inside me. And so on that journey, I had to confront the fact that I had a traumatic childhood. And I had to understand how that stress and that past had manifested itself and shown up in different ways during different eras of my life. So as a child living in constant flight mode and stress, to later in life, I'm a young adult. From the outside, I look very successful. I've got a great career. I'm going on vacations. I've got a lot of friends. But the reality was I was actually still operating from a place of stress. I was in hyperfunctional autopilot, just not able to connect with the present. And so once I really looked at how the past lived within inside me, I was able to what I call find my ease, find my inner peace, and start operating from a place where I was living from a place of ease or inner peace rather than stress and desperation. So that's how I turned my life into a life of desperation, into a life full of inspiration.
Oh, wow. I love it. From desperation to inspiration. Now, we want to make sure that you all have enough time to mingle. There is going to be book signings. I highly encourage you all to find a copy of When the Universe Said Hello Back out front and then ask these lovely ladies to sign them. But in closing, in one sentence, kind of brief here. What is a question that you have asked the universe recently that you would like to share with people here that might encourage them or inspire them to think about what the universe might tell them back? So we're going to start with you, Christina, and let's just go down.
Was it because I look so perplexed? My question would be, it actually may be more of a statement. It's just of surrender. I'm ready for what's next.
Breathe and deep.
As I'm in recovery as a people pleaser. Coming up with this book was definitely super brave for me to talk about my divorce, and I've been so worried what my ex-husband would say. And I have been just living in poor Deepika. I have the last 2 weeks I've put her through so much. And well, the whole time we were getting and deleted it and everything. But pain is the most powerful teacher of all. So when I was asking the universe, like, what, I don't know what to do. I'm so nervous, and it could hear. And one morning I woke up and said, he doesn't care. And I think a lot of times we're in our own way. I was in my own head, and he doesn't care. And even if he does, and that's what I say, it doesn't matter because I care. And that's what the whole basis of my book.
I love that. What about for you, Kelly? What is a question that you would ask the universe that you'd like to share with people here?
I think I would transform that message you said of thinking about how the past lives inside you to now I'm really focused on how is my current state, my present affecting my future. So I can start a new past now that I'll look back on and be proud of.
Amazing.
I would say what's next for me. As I changed myself and I discovered the resilience in me in myself, and the life I built thereafter with my loving husband, and yes, I remarried, and my two boys that I wrote about them in my book, and our little girl Mia. I would say, so thank you to everything that happened. I embrace all aspects of life, whether they're good experiences, I cherish them and enjoy them. If they're bad, I learn from them, and I'm ready for what's next.
That. So I think that's a great question that we can all ask when we're walking out here, when we're having breakfast tomorrow, even maybe next month. What is next for me? Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for sharing your stories in the new book. And congratulations on all of its success and continued success.
The most requested book tonight, right? Barnes and
It is.
Noble.
This was the most requested book tonight, and it has been on the top charts of the bestseller list. Thank you so much. So I appreciate you all, ladies. And we are gonna bring our final guest up for the night, who's gonna close us out. And so Kathleen, very, very excited to have you with us today. Kathleen is a dear friend and a mentor to Deepika. So I think it's very beautiful that you are all up here together. And you have recently relaunched your book, The Best of Yourself. And it's been a huge success. It's coming out on audiobook soon. You exude poise and grace and joy. And we had an opportunity to speak a little bit earlier, and you talked about how you went down your journey of remembrance of who you are, and also the creation of who you want to be. So, can you talk a little bit, Kathleen, about your book, why you relaunched it, and a message that you really would like to share everyone that's here today about your own journey of going down to discover you through that remembrance?
You're really good at asking 7 questions.
I know, I know. Pick the one that you want to answer.
I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm grateful my voice has lasted me. I'm on the cusp here, but this book, The Best of Yourself, was an opportunity for me to talk about my remembrance to the truth of who I really am, the source, the spirit, the true real love that's always existed within myself that I had simply forgotten about. And this love that returned, this truth of who I am returned, and it returned in success, and it returned in wealth, and it returned in best-selling books and big billboards in Times Square and all of these wow things, in this transformative quantum leaping type of life. But what we are looking at and seeing is not what matters. What actually matters is that I remembered that the natural state of being for me was to just love myself and unapologetically show up as myself every day, and that truly is the effortless way. And so, Thomas Troward, my all-time favorite quote, he says that there is a livingness in being yourself. And so, the best of yourself is simply returning to that and letting it be really, really easy, and then everything else becomes easy after that.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Deepika, you're standing here with us today, standing in front of Kathleen. What is something that you've learned through speaking with Kathleen, catching up with her, that you want to share with everyone that's sitting here and standing here with us today?
I think my number one takeaway from time with Kathleen is receive. The universe is giving you so much. It is sending you messages. The soul sparks are landing. The things are showing up for you every single day. Receive, because when you receive, you create this. All of you people here today in a program that's running longer than we expected, but you're all here, and it is so exciting to have you here. And this is all because we received. At any given point, you can say all the reasons why you can't do something. I was at A plus at that. I could tell you every reason I shouldn't do something. But what I learned and what I think is my biggest absolute takeaway is that you must receive what's coming down. Don't fight it. Don't try to block it. Don't get in the way of it. Receive it. And this is truly why we're all here tonight, because we received, all of you, individually and together.
I'm just going to interject here.
Go for it.
I just want to tell you a fun little story. Deepika and I sat on this beach in these like chairs, and I asked her a question. I asked her, what could you manifest happening that would create massive global impact? And so when I got in here today, I got emotional because this wasn't even an idea yet. But asking yourself questions like that open up the mind to allow the soul's knowledge to come in and to drop in and to create something that wouldn't have existed had we not been thinking that big. And so today, this entire Soul Sparks Press celebration, all of these authors would not have existed, would not be here. This entire event non-existent if Deepika hadn't allowed herself to be open to receive the soul's knowledge, that idea for Soul Sparks Press to drop in. So I hope everybody's listening to all of these stories and hearing that it is so important for you to be listening. It is so important for you to act upon the listening, and not for yourself, but for the impact it makes on the world. And now these 45 authors, how many soul sparks are gonna come from those books and then those books and then those? So it's just so beautiful to do.
And I say it in Hello Universe, It's Me. In my book, I say, you can only see what you can see for yourself. But universe can see so much more for yourself than you can ever see. And I think we're all in the experience of that today.
That is so beautifully said. I just want to let that kind of sit for a moment because I think that's a very, very empowering message, and an important reminder because sometimes we can be stuck right where we're at, but the universe knows so much more, and knows what is beyond. And because Eric said yes last year, right? Eric said yes. Jesse said yes. Nakia said yes. All of these people are here today celebrating all of the soul sparking moments that are within us. If any of you have picked up anything today, we hope that you remember that your story matters. Your story is important. There are so many ways that you can connect with and uplift others when you share your story. So it's so beautiful that you all came out today to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of Soul Sparks Press. It has been such a delight and a joy to work with Deepika to put on this program for you all. We at the Los Angeles Tribune, we really are a media organization that is shifting the status quo to inspire positivity, upliftment, education, and empowerment in the world. And we truly believe that books matter because people's stories matter and they're important. And when someone can share their story, they can start a ripple effect that impacts people all around the world. So we thank you all for being here with us today. We encourage you to stay, to mingle, to get to know each other. I implore you to try and meet one person that you didn't know before you came here today. There are many books at the register, and when we wrap up, this table will be open, and Deepika and all of the other authors here will be signing books. I want to say thank you to Ken Honda and Marie Diamond, our special guests, and to all of the authors that flew in from around the country, from around the world, and the people that came to support them. I met someone in the bathroom. She came from Florida to support her friend. I mean, that is really what I call support. It's truly beautiful. So Kathleen, I would love for you to close us out today with some closing remarks. And then I encourage you all to have a good time this evening and to live an evening of joy.
Closing remarks. Okay, wowzers. First, I just want to say you did an amazing job this evening. And her, her microphone is like repeating ones. So as she's talking, I'm going one, one, one. All of us like awakened enlightened folks are like, ooh, Angel Robert. I think the biggest message for me is to truly understand the power of thinking from an idea first and allowing it to be birthed in the physical form. And so many of us are just living from what we see every day and trying to manipulate it and trying to change it and make it a little bit better. But what if you just look at something altogether different, something you never thought of before, something you never considered, and create a new idea and start to think, feel, and live from that new idea? And trust me, you will live a whole other life that you will have no idea how you got here, but you will simply be in joy and gratitude and love at levels you've never experienced before. So what if that new idea comes through to you tonight and then you just live from it from this moment on? So sending you all love and gratitude, and thank you for supporting Deepika and her whole team. This has been amazing, and I'll close it at that.
It truly has. So thank you and congratulations. And Deepika, you don't know this is happening. So Deepika is in the film The Pillars of Power, and we celebrated the cast at a ceremony in January, our Community Impact Awards, where we were celebrating nonprofit organizations and entrepreneurs that are really impacting the community. And in January, we presented Deepika with a Citation of Excellence Award, which is awarded to individuals who embody visionary leadership, relentless innovation, and a profound commitment to creating positive change. This accolade recognizes those who inspire through their integrity, resilience, and transformative impact on their industries, communities, serving as a testament to the power of purpose-driven leadership. And when we think about Soul Sparks Press, we'd be remiss if we did not include purpose-driven leadership in all that you do, because you truly embody it. So Deepika, on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune, the director of our film division, Donna Campbell, our CEO, Mo Rock, and our editor in chief, Abavi Manuel, and myself, we are so honored to formally in person present you with your Citation of Excellence Award. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I have to say, it wouldn't be a book celebration and a party without some champagne or some bubbly. There is champagne here for you all to enjoy, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, because we like to have options. So I encourage you to mingle, buy some books, meet someone new, and think about what the universe is trying to tell you. And don't tell us, but maybe, just maybe, next year or even later this year, we'll be seeing your book on the shelves in a store near us real soon. Thank you all.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
Imagine waking up in the morning, grabbing your morning coffee, and opening up your daily newspaper to nothing but headlines that inspire and uplift you. Headlines like the Apollo 11 moon landing and how it inspired people in the 60s, or headlines like the Berlin Wall has collapsed, or even more recently, headlines like the miracle on the Hudson. What would that do to your day when you started off with just positive news? My name is Mo Rock. I'm the CEO of a national newspaper brand, and today, together, we are reimagining journalism. You see, studies reveal that there is a stark contrast between positive news and negative news. In fact, for every piece of news that is solutions-based, that can uplift and inspire you, there are at least 17 that don't. That's 17 to 1. So today, we are actually faced with an epidemic of negative news. We've all heard the phrase, if it bleeds, it leads. But why does this have to be the centerpiece of a lot of news production, journalism, and content creation of the world today? There are a lot of incredible journalists that are solutions orientated, and I give a lot of credit to them for doing a great job. And here's the truth that you may not realize, is that everyone in this room is impacting our news. You see, every single time you like a post, every single time you leave a comment on a news article, and every single time you share something, you're not just liking, commenting, and resharing. You're actually casting a vote. You're not only casting a vote for the kind of news you want to consume, but believe it or not, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. You see, I believe that news has the power to not just inform you, but it has the power to mold you. Our world views are largely shaped based on the news and content that we consume. And so I want to encourage folks to remember that the next time that they like, comment, and share. Our organization has one question that it always has to ask before we share anything, print anything, or publish anything. Our editorial team asks this one very simple question. Does the following piece of news empower our audience, or does it disempower our audience? What would the world look like if every content creator, every journalist, every time someone posted a news article, they asked that question? Does the following piece of content empower our audience or disempower our audience? And I want to encourage everyone to participate in this process and help us bridge that gap between 17 negative news articles for every one positive. And let's come together and ultimately make this world a better place. Thank you.